A 72-year-old retired teacher lost $300,000 in 18 months. $300,000. That was her entire life savings. 40 years of careful planning, sacrifice, and discipline gone. And the worst part? She made the same mistakes that millions of seniors are making right now with their retirement funds. Mistakes that are completely avoidable if you know what to look for. Today I'm going to show you the 5 biggest investment mistakes people make when managing money for seniors, whether that's yourself, your parents, or your grandparents. These aren't just theories. These are real patterns I've seen destroy retirement accounts over and over again. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to avoid every single one of them. But before we dive in, I need you to do something. Drop a comment right now telling me where you're watching from, and whether you're investing for yourself or helping a family member. I read every single comment, and I want to know who's in this community. And if protecting retirement savings matters to you, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. This channel is dedicated to helping people make smarter financial decisions, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Now, let's get into it. The first massive mistake I see people make is what I call the fear paralysis trap. This is when seniors or their family members become so afraid of losing money that they keep everything in cash or ultra-conservative investments that barely keep up with inflation. I understand the logic. You've worked your entire life for this money. You can't afford to lose it. The stock market feels like a casino. So you keep everything in savings accounts, CDs, or money market funds where it feels safe. Here's the problem. That safe feeling is an illusion, and it's costing you thousands of dollars every single year. Let me explain with real numbers. Let's say you have $500,000 in retirement savings. If you keep that money in a savings account earning 1% interest, you're making $5,000 a year. Sounds okay, right? But inflation averages around 3% per year, sometimes more. That means the real purchasing power of your money is shrinking by 2% annually. On $500,000, that's $10,000 in lost purchasing power every single year. Over 10 years, you haven't protected your money. You've lost roughly $100,000 in real value. Your safe choice wasn't safe at all. It was a slow, invisible drain on your retirement security. Now, I'm not saying seniors should put everything in aggressive growth stocks. That would be the opposite extreme and equally dangerous. What I am saying is that some exposure to growth investments, even in retirement, is essential to maintaining your purchasing power over time. The solution to the fear paralysis trap is what financial professionals call an age-appropriate allocation. A common rule of thumb is to subtract your age from 100 to determine what percentage should be in stocks. So a 70-year-old might have 30% in diversified stock funds and 70% in bonds and stable investments. This isn't about getting rich quick. It's about making sure your money lasts as long as you do. Because here's the reality that most people don't think about. Retirement can last 30 years or more. A 65-year-old today has a reasonable chance of living past 90. Your money needs to work for decades, not just years. The second devastating mistake is falling for high-fee investment products. And this one makes me genuinely angry because it's often driven by salespeople who prioritize their commissions over your financial well-being. Here's what typically happens. A well-meaning senior or their adult child walks into a bank or meets with a financial salesperson. They're looking for safe, reliable investments. The salesperson recommends an annuity or a mutual fund with impressive-sounding features. What they don't explain clearly is the fee structure. That annuity might have surrender charges of 7% if you withdraw early. That mutual fund might have an expense ratio of 1.5% annually, plus a front-end load of 5% just to invest. These fees compound over time in devastating ways. Let me show you what I mean. If you invest $200,000 in a fund with a 1.5% annual fee versus a similar fund with a 0.1% fee, the difference over 20 years is staggering. The high-fee fund will cost you approximately $50,000 more in fees alone, $50,000 that could have been in your pocket, growing for your retirement. And annuities? Some of them are appropriate for certain situations. But many are sold to seniors who don't need them, don't understand them, and will pay massive penalties if their circumstances change. The solution is simple: but requires discipline. Before investing in anything, ask 3 questions. First, what is the total annual cost of this investment, including all fees and expenses? Second, what are the penalties if I need to access this money early? Third, how does this person recommending this investment get paid? If the answers are unclear, or if the person seems uncomfortable answering, that's a massive red flag. Walk away. There are plenty of low-cost investment options available today through companies like Vanguard, Fidelity, and Schwab that charge a fraction of what traditional brokers charge. The third critical mistake is ignoring tax implications. This might sound boring, but trust me, it can cost you tens of thousands of dollars if you get it wrong. Seniors often have multiple types of accounts: traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs, taxable brokerage accounts, Social Security benefits, maybe a pension. Each of these is taxed differently, and the order in which you withdraw from these accounts can dramatically affect how much you pay in taxes over your retirement. Here's a common scenario. A retired couple needs $60,000 per year to live comfortably. They have money in both a traditional IRA and a taxable brokerage account. Many people would just withdraw from whichever account is most convenient or has the most money. But that approach could cost them thousands in unnecessary taxes. A smarter strategy might be to withdraw from the taxable account first, up to certain limits, then take IRA distributions strategically to stay within lower tax brackets. Even more important is understanding required minimum distributions, or RMDs. Once you reach a certain age, currently 73 for most people, you're required to withdraw minimum amounts from traditional retirement accounts each year. If you don't, the penalty is severe, 25% of the amount you should have withdrawn. I've seen people miss RMDs because they didn't know the rules, and the IRS penalties were brutal. This is completely avoidable with basic planning. The solution is to work with a tax professional or financial advisor who understands retirement tax planning. Not just someone who can file your taxes, but someone who can help you create a withdrawal strategy that minimizes your lifetime tax burden. The money you save in taxes is money that stays in your account working for you. The fourth mistake is one that breaks my heart every time I see it: falling victim to scams and fraud. Seniors are disproportionately targeted by financial scammers. The FBI estimates that seniors lose nearly $3 billion per year to financial fraud. $3 billion stolen from people who worked their entire lives for that money. These scams take many forms. Romance scams where someone pretends to be a love interest online. Grandparent scams where someone calls pretending to be a grandchild in trouble. Investment scams promising guaranteed high returns. Tech support scams claiming your computer has a virus. The creativity of these criminals is unfortunately limitless. And here's what makes it worse. Many seniors don't report these crimes because they're embarrassed. They feel foolish for falling for it. So the true numbers are probably even higher than what's reported. I want to be very clear about something. If you or someone you love has been victimized by a scam, it is not your fault. These criminals are sophisticated. They use psychological manipulation techniques that can fool anyone. There is no shame in being targeted by a criminal. The solution involves multiple layers of protection. First, establish a rule that no financial decisions will be made under time pressure. Scammers always create urgency. They say you must act now, today, this hour. Legitimate opportunities can always wait for you to think about them, research them, and discuss them with trusted family members. Second, set up account alerts and monitoring. Most banks and brokerage firms allow you to receive notifications when transactions over a certain amount occur. This creates an early warning system for unauthorized activity. Third, consider having a trusted family member as a secondary contact on financial accounts. This person can be alerted if unusual activity is detected, even without having direct access to the accounts. Fourth, be extremely skeptical of unsolicited contact. If someone calls, emails, or messages you out of the blue with a financial opportunity, assume it's a scam until proven otherwise. Legitimate financial professionals don't cold call seniors with investment opportunities. The fifth and final mistake is failing to plan for healthcare costs. This is the silent killer of retirement plans, and almost everyone underestimates it. According to recent studies, the average retired couple will need approximately $300,000 for healthcare expenses in retirement, And that's on top of what Medicare covers. Let me say that again, $300,000 beyond Medicare. This includes Medicare premiums, supplemental insurance, prescription drugs, dental care, vision care, hearing aids, and the big one that catches everyone off guard, long-term care. The average cost of a private room in a nursing home is now over $100,000 per year in many parts of the country. A home health aide costs $50,000 or more annually, and Medicare does not cover long-term custodial care. I've seen families financially devastated by this. They planned carefully for retirement, accumulated significant savings, and then a stroke or dementia diagnosis wiped out everything in a matter of years. The surviving spouse was left with nothing. The solution requires honest assessment and planning. First, factor healthcare costs into your retirement budget, not as an afterthought, but as a major line item. Many financial planners now recommend a separate healthcare reserve in addition to your regular retirement savings. Second, understand Medicare thoroughly. Know what it covers and what it doesn't. Consider whether a Medicare Advantage plan or traditional Medicare with a supplement makes more sense for your situation. Third, explore long-term care insurance while you're still healthy enough to qualify. Yes, it's expensive, but it's far less expensive than self-funding years of nursing home care. There are also hybrid policies that combine life insurance with long-term care benefits, which can be a good option for some people. Fourth, have honest family conversations about care preferences and expectations. Does mom want to stay in her home as long as possible? Is their family willing and able to provide care? What's the backup plan if circumstances change? These conversations are difficult, but they're far easier than making these decisions in a crisis. Now that we've covered the 5 biggest mistakes, let me tie it all together with some overarching principles that apply to all senior investment decisions. Principle 1. Simplicity beats complexity. As we age, our ability to manage complex financial arrangements often decreases, whether due to cognitive changes, reduced energy, or simply having better things to do. Simpler is almost always better. Consolidate accounts where possible. Reduce the number of different investments you hold. Create systems that require minimal active management. The goal is a financial life that can be easily understood and maintained, even if your circumstances change. Principle 2. Liquidity matters more than ever. Liquidity means having access to cash when you need it. In retirement, unexpected expenses are common. A new roof, a car repair, a medical emergency. Having money locked up in illiquid investments like certain annuities, real estate partnerships, or long-term CDs can create real problems when cash is needed quickly. A good rule of thumb is to keep at least 1 to 2 years of living expenses in easily accessible accounts. Yes, you might earn a slightly lower return on this money, but the peace of mind and flexibility are worth it. Principle 3. Documentation is essential. Make sure beneficiary designations are up to date on all accounts. Ensure that someone trustworthy knows where all accounts are located. Have proper legal documents in place. A will, a power of attorney for finances, a healthcare directive. I've seen situations where family members didn't even know certain accounts existed until years after a death. I've seen outdated beneficiary designations send money to ex-spouses instead of current family members. These are paperwork problems that cause real heartache and can be easily prevented. Principle 4. Regular review is non-negotiable. At minimum, investment allocations and overall financial plans should be reviewed annually. As circumstances change, health changes, family changes, market conditions change, your plan may need to adapt. This doesn't mean constantly tinkering or reacting to every market movement. It means stepping back once a year, looking at the big picture, and making sure everything still makes sense. Principle 5. Don't go it alone. Managing money in retirement is complex. The tax rules are complicated. The healthcare system is confusing. The investment options are overwhelming. There's no shame in getting help. A good financial advisor, specifically a fee-only fiduciary who is legally required to act in your best interest, can be invaluable. They can help create a comprehensive plan, provide accountability, and catch mistakes before they become disasters. If you're helping an aging parent with their finances, Don't try to do everything yourself. Bring in professionals where needed. The cost of good advice is almost always far less than the cost of expensive mistakes. Let me share a story that brings all of this together. Remember the retired teacher I mentioned at the beginning, the one who lost $300,000? Her name was Barbara, and here's what happened to her. After her husband died, Barbara was approached by a charming financial salesperson at her bank. He convinced her to move her entire retirement savings into a high-fee variable annuity with complicated features she didn't understand. Over the following months, he called regularly with additional recommendations. Each time there were more fees, more complexity. Barbara trusted him because he worked at a bank and was always so friendly and attentive. When Barbara's daughter finally reviewed the accounts, she discovered the nightmare. Between the fees, the surrender charges, and some genuinely unsuitable investments within the annuity, Barbara had lost nearly half of her life savings. Barbara made multiple mistakes that we discussed today. She let fear drive her to someone who promised safety. She didn't understand the fees she was paying. She didn't have a family member involved in her financial decisions. She trusted someone who was prioritizing his commissions over her well-being. But here's the thing, Barbara was not stupid. She was a retired teacher with a master's degree. She had managed her family's finances competently for decades. She was simply in a vulnerable moment after losing her husband, and a predatory salesperson took advantage of that vulnerability. This is why education matters. This is why conversations like the one we're having right now matter, because when you know what to look for, you can protect yourself and the people you love. So let me give you an action plan. If you're a senior managing your own money, or if you're helping a family member, here's what to do next. First, gather all financial account statements and create a master list. Know exactly where the money is and what it's invested in. Second, calculate the fees you're paying across all investments. If you're not sure how to do this, call each company and ask them directly. Third, review beneficiary designations on every account. Make sure they reflect your current wishes. Fourth, have a family conversation about finances, healthcare wishes, and emergency contacts. This doesn't have to happen all at once. Start small and build from there. Fifth, consider whether you need professional help. If the situation is complex, if there's significant money at stake, if you're not confident in your knowledge, get help. The cost of a good advisor is a bargain compared to the cost of major mistakes. If this video has been valuable to you, I need your help spreading the word. Share it with someone who needs to hear this information. It might be a parent, a grandparent, a friend, or a colleague. Financial education can be life-changing, but only if people actually receive it. Hit that like button if you learned something new. Subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos on protecting and growing your wealth. And please drop a comment below telling me which of these 5 mistakes was most surprising to you, or share your own experiences with retirement investing. I read every comment and often create new videos based on your questions and feedback. Remember, it's never too late to make better financial decisions. Whether you're 65 or 85, whether you have 5 million or 50,000, the principles we discussed today can help you protect what you've worked so hard to build. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. I'll see you in the next video.